Welcome, everybody. How are you?
We have a special guest for you all, guys. And she's going to be talking with y'all. She's a motivational speaker. She actually talked to some of our young ladies last week. Meeting Dr. OJ is your special guest. She's a motivational speaker. She actually talked to some of our young ladies last week.
My God-given ability, and this was something that God expected me to use to not only be a blessing to people, but to change lives and to make an impact in my own capacity. Auditorium or like conference of about over 2,000 people, or even just one person, I come out with the same passion. There was a day I was in my office at home and I was doing a one-on-one session with one of my clients, and my son came in after and was like, "Mom, you were mad passionate." I was like, "What?" You know, Gen Zs, they have their own lingo, and I was like, "What does that even mean?" It's like, you were really like going in, like, wow. I was like, yes. I said, whether one person or 1,000, it doesn't matter. Your gifts have to speak to you. And you know, that's one of the things that I love about education. It's just an ongoing space where you get to express yourself as a gifted person. And each of you in here, I just want to say, what you do is never ever underestimated. I used to be in education as a teacher in the classroom, and I had an assigned aide who was with me because I was a science teacher, but I had a combination of AP and regular kids and some special ed kids. So I always needed help because my numbers were high. And the days when she would not come in, woo, those were some of the hardest days. So you better believe that your value is never undermined, however you want to look at it. You are extremely important to the education system. You know, what you guys do makes it so much easier for us to do what we do. So I just want to take some time on behalf of the principal and Miss Rosa and all the administrators that brought me here today to say thank you, guys. Years you've been in the district in education, the heart and the passion that you have for this, so thank you. All of those things happen in such a repeated cycle, but every day looks different. And all of those things come together to let me know what my purpose is. And my purpose is really making sure that at every moment in time, in whatever role I'm playing, whatever capacity that I'm being called on, I have to be able to show up with excellence. I need to show up. So yeah, they call me Dr. OJ. That's just a title from education, right? But then at the core of that person is a huge responsibility to be Dr. OJ every time you call her. Huge task of meeting quota, test results, scores, grades. We don't have the patience. I dare say, a lot of times we might not have the patience because of the pressure and the number of students we are responsible for to do what you guys are able to do. And by the time that kid went over, done with middle school, going to high school, at the end of the school year, he was able to at least get out of my class at a 7 or 6%. That was a lot for a kid who was 2 grades behind reading level. So that was a huge, and I knew that at that moment I really started to look at my TA, not just as an additional person who was just coming to help make my work easier, as someone who my students really needed. So after that, every year, starting the school year, I would come with a gift, like beginning of the year gift for my TA. because then I started to understand that this was more of a symbiotic relationship. Excuse my science teacher analogy. It was a very good relationship. It's like, you're giving me, I'm giving you, we're winning together. It's a win-win situation. Right? So if I have to bring you lunch once a week to make sure that you're doing what you need to do, I will bring you lunch. Look, it is what it is, right? So call it bribery, whatever you want to call it. I was bribing my TA because she was really showing up for me and showing up for my kids. And it made our performance, our test scores, everything all round worked out better. Guess who was looking good at the end of the day? Me. Guess who got the credit? Me. But guess who was doing half the job? She was doing it. So that's why when she said, oh, paraprofessional, I was like, oh, what's that about? I was like, please, I want to be part of this, because this was not in existence, to appreciate all of you guys doing the work and helping us just lighten the load. This was not in existence, so this is really good for me. So I hope you guys understand that your work is very significant and it's very impactful, and the kids and the teachers and everyone would not function without you. So yay for you guys. Everyone here, please give yourselves a round of applause. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, so here's some things, concrete things that you guys do. You reinforce knowledge. You guys help us to reinforce learning. Because if I'm teaching and I have 30, 40 kids, I'm not able to physically reinforce and ensure that they're, check for understanding. But you guys can pick out those kids who might need additional support and reinforce that learning. So that way we get to our goal a lot faster, right? And you guys bridge the gap. Bridging the gap between our students and us. Because like I said, that day, it was not a good day. I was not having it. I was not trying to be patient. I was like, look, you here, you're not here. Look, I got 40 other kids to deal with. Like, you in, you out. But you guys can help bridge the gap between those kids who might otherwise fall behind, those kids who might otherwise have behavioral issues, and which we know impacts their learning. I said one thing, getting out of the school system, there are no bad kids. There's just bad situations that they find themselves. And if we're able, so here's some things, concrete things that you guys do. You reinforce knowledge. You guys help us to reinforce learning. Because if I'm teaching and I have 30, 40 kids, I'm not able to physically reinforce and ensure that they're, check for understanding. But you guys can pick out those kids who might need additional support and reinforce that learning. So that way we get to our goal a lot faster, right? And you guys bridge the gap. Bridging the gap between our students and us. Because like I said, that day, it was not a good day. I was not having it. I was not trying to be patient. I was like, look, you here, you're not here. Look, I got 40 other kids to deal with. Like, you in, you out. But you guys can help bridge the gap between those kids who might otherwise fall behind, those kids who might otherwise have behavioral issues, and which we know impacts their learning. I said one thing, getting out of the school system, there are no bad kids. There's just bad situations that they find themselves. And if we're able to identify as many of those kids in those bad situations, in some type of way help to mitigate it, make it a little bit better so they can learn and have a better future, that's really what education is about. So bridging the gap is very important. You guys get to do that. You guys get to create a safe space. She said she knew she always wanted to teach since she was a little girl. Can you believe that? I was like, oh, that's really cute. I don't know anybody. That's really cute. I'm like, I don't know anyone who really wanted to be a teacher growing up. But when I found myself as a teacher, I was like, oh my God, this is karma on a whole universal scale. Because think about going back to teach kids and you just flash back and remember the kind of student you were. You're like, Lord, forgive me for all my sins. Yeah, but you always knew you wanted to be in education, and you're here, 22 years, still going strong. So, look, kudos to you. So your presence in the classroom, in the hallways, everywhere you show up is very significant. Well, here are action steps that I want to leave you guys with today, because I want to keep it really short and sweet. So action steps that you guys can do for yourselves as people doing this work. This is such an emotional space, believe it or not. I know they say, oh, we're here to teach the kids, but it's an emotional space. It's really for you to invest in emotional intelligence. As adults, we sometimes just want kids to do what we tell them to do, and we are so unaware of who we are. We have a very low self-awareness state that now we're asking the kids to do the same thing. So it's our job to invest in our emotional intelligence, and by doing that, we help boost our interpersonal relationships with them. We help boost our state of self-awareness. That means we know, like that day, I had a bad day. If I had been very invested in my emotional intelligence development, I would have known that at that point, I was not being the best example for my students. So being able to be self-aware at all times, managing our emotions, monitoring them, just being very empathetic, because sometimes some kids might not tell you, I just got hurt, maybe a parent is abusing me or a guardian is doing such and such, but they'll come and it'll show up as aggression. It'll show up as defiance. It'll show up as, look, it will show up in so many ways, but it was because something just happened. But if we're able to just bring a little bit of empathy to the table and try to meet them a little bit and understand, we would be the best educators ever. And of course, the next thing I want to leave you with is, of course, embrace growth and upskilling. I know you said you like going to your ready to go to the beach, but look, I have an 85-year-old business partner. No, hold on. The point I'm trying to make is, you never stop learning and upskilling. Even for this role that you want to play till you retire. You should never ever get to the point where you feel like, okay, I'm done. I'm just going to be here, and then until I retire, I'm going to go to the beach. No. Think about if you plug your phone in, or your phone, you take it out of the charger in the morning. You know that phone starts to die the moment it gets out of the charging port. And at the end of the day, it goes as far as it can go, and then it dies on you. That's what a person is, whoever will say, well, I'm not trying to do anything else. I'm not asking you growth and upskilling. I know you said you like going to your ready to go to the beach, but look, I have an 85-year-old business partner.
Not interested.
No, hold on. The point I'm trying to make is, you never stop learning and upskilling. Even for this role that you want to play till you retire. You should never ever get to the point where you feel like, okay, I'm done. I'm just going to be here, and then until I retire, I'm going to go to the beach. No. Think about if you plug your phone in, or your phone, you take it out of the charger in the morning. You know that phone starts to die the moment it gets out of the charging port. And at the end of the day, it goes as far as it can go, and then it dies on you. That's what a person is, whoever will say, well, I'm not trying to do anything else. I'm not asking you to learn a new skill. I'm not asking you to go back to school, but I'm just asking you to try to just stay open to learning opportunities that just makes you better, even if it's just better as the TA that you are. There's always a next level.
My next level is going to be drinking drinks on the beach and playing with the kids in the water.
That's okay. But there's always a next level, right? There's always a next level. So guys, let's just embrace growth and development, because that just makes us better all around. And of course, last but not the least, you should never be shy of advocating for yourself. I don't know whoever advocated for this. Thank you to that person. Whoever advocated for you guys, but you guys should never fall short of advocating for yourself. Don't ever think that you can't tell the administrators what you as a TA needs to do your job better, or to be able to have your needs met, or to feel like you need to get more out of this. Trust me, the difference between someone doing the same job and one person getting paid more and being able to get paid less, or someone even in business negotiating and one person coming out better and the other person falling short, is the ability for us to advocate for ourselves. So please don't ever feel like, oh, this is just what it is what it is. No, because you never know. When you start advocating for yourself, you open up the eyes of other people to see the possibility that exists in what it is that you bring into the table, which is a whole lot, by the way, guys. So, just want to celebrate all of you today. Thank you, CI South, for always having me, y'all family, you know that? And thank you to each and every one of you. I met you today. I absolutely appreciate and love you. I'm gonna be back for you. But all that is said, don't ever underestimate the value that you bring to the table. I always say this: every life has value, and everyone was put on this earth to fulfill a purpose. And you found your purpose. I can tell. You just keep building on it and making it count every single day. And that's what God expects of us. Thank you all so much. I love you guys.
Appreciate that.